Everyone, Sean O'Connor here from Macabre Daily, and I have the absolute pleasure of announcing who the two guests were for the Nature Runs Amok panel. They were none other than Alisa Kwitney and Meg Ripley. Alisa and I met when I interviewed her for Macabre Daily to support her new comic Howl, which is sci-fi horror comedy, 60s Greenwich Village. And I fell madly in love with it. It is just a vibe and so much fun. And the art's fantastic. Elisa's writing is incredible. And I recommend everybody run out and go get Howl. But she has also written novels. And she was an editor for Vertigo, the offshoot of DC Comics. And she is an essayist. And her work has appeared in anthologies. And you would think that all of those incredible accolades, her head would be this big, but not even remotely true, because she's the coolest person you're ever going to meet, and she's insanely funny as well, although she did ruin the term Shark Week for me, and when you listen to this episode, you'll know why. So, yeah, thanks a lot, Alisa. And then Meg Ripley, my Canadian friend, my friend from up north. Funny story about Meg. She was sitting in front of me at a Clay McLeod Chapman event to support, I always want to say What Kind of Mother, but it's Wake Up and Open Your Eyes. But you know what? Buy all the Clay McLeod Chapman books. Why not? It's incredible. So, Meg's got the coolest hair in horror. And I'm looking over and I'm going, that's Meg Ripley. That is definitely Meg Ripley. And I know you're not going to believe this, but I can be a little bit shy. So the event ended, and I'm saying hi to Clay, and Sam Zimmerman from Shudder was there. Look at me, shamelessly dropping. Oh, goodness. And there's Meg, and I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I said hi, and we got to talking. And then I followed up and just DM'd Meg and said, would you want to be part of this? Because in the brief moment that I met Meg, I just got a feeling that she was going to be one of the coolest people on the planet. And boy, was I wrong. She's one of the coolest people in the universe. Meg is the author of Necrology. And I feel like if Meg were here and I said this, she would be like, oh, pshaw. But she would say something much better than that. But Necrology came out, and it became like the book that horror authors, the hottest horror authors writing today, were talking about. So it's like, how about that? When the coolest kids in the room start talking about your cool thing, and then it's just like this tsunami of cool, and that's Meg. So I bugged her, and she came on, and just like Alisa, she's going to come on for some more panels, but this is your first glimpse of the fun that we had. We talk Nature Runs Amok, and we talk about alligator movies and shark movies and dog movies and just kind of every 2- and 4-legged beastie movie that you could think of. And we just have such a great time talking about it. I hope you enjoy it. I know I did. I cannot wait to have these two people back, because honestly, if they wanted to come on every night and do another panel, I would absolutely quit my job, and I would lock myself in the basement, and I would do it. It sounds weird, but it's true. Please enjoy Meg Ripley and Alisa Kwitney, Sean O'Connor from Macabre Daily, and this is Nature Runs Amok. Hi, everyone. Sean O'Connor from Macabre Daily, and I have two incredible people with me, and you just heard all about both of them. Meg Ripley, and I stand behind it, the coolest hair in horror, flat out, and Alisa Kwitney, who honestly will someday have to take me comic book shopping so we can find old issues of The Witching Hour, and I'm holding you to that. Thank you both so much for being here tonight. So this is our Nature Run Amok episode. Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Yep.
The first question that I always ask my guests when they come on, so, just peek behind the curtain. What I do is I send out a list and I give everyone choices. So, some of the choices are 70s made for TV horror. And we have, one coming up in a couple of months that is going to be about mockumentaries, the best mockumentaries. and another one that's it's like Jaws, but dot dot dot. This one happened to be Nature Run Amok, and you two just jumped at it immediately. So, Meg, we'll start with you. Why? I'm so curious. Why Nature Run Amok?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I think, out of the list of movies, it had, the most I'd seen, I was into them the most. I think, the first instance I can think of, like where nature run, I met with Nature Run Amok. My dad worked nights, and so one day he was sleeping on the couch and he was like at 1:30. I mean, this I'm talking creature feature here, but it was King Kong, the old from the 30s, black and white, and we saw it on a TV this big. And I think ever after, he made it very clear in that moment how important it was that we would see that at one. He would be up by one to watch that with me. And I ever since, sort of anything Creature from the Black Lagoon, but also Jaws, one of my all-time favorites. I
My
love
favorite
Nature
movie.
Run Amok. I love Nature Run Amok. It's always scared me. And honestly, even for my own work, I think I have a little bit of Mother Nature Run Amok in my latest book. So
Love it.
mm,
Alisa, how about yourself?
Nature Runs Amok is horror I can feel good about because a lot of horror can leave you feeling disturbed and sort of as though there is no hope. But I feel if the animals get their own back, it's all right by me. During the pandemic, when I was going through a really hard time, my mom was with me, and uh, it turned out she had dementia, and I thought, what can I do to feel better? And I started to read The Nest, which is, of course, about mutant cockroaches. A really much better book than it is a movie or TV series. I'm not sure which it was. But when those mutant cockroaches began to nibble their way through, bad humans, I began to feel some healing take place.
All right. All right. For me, I honestly think it's the time period where I was susceptible to it the most. So, I'm a kid of like a child of the 70s and then a teen of the 80s. And during the 70s, there was all that echo horror. I mean, at least I know that we're going to talk about frogs. You made me put it on the list, and forgive me for omitting it because that is one of the quintessential Nature Run Amok movies and echo horror movies of the 70s. But these movies used to be on like the 4:30 movie. I grew up in New York. So, Meg, I'm curious if there's a variation of that in Ontario, right?
definitely. I mean, I feel like during summers, I would sit with bored to death at my grandparents' place, and every afternoon it would be classic reruns of a monster movie of some kind, and or the old eco horror reruns,
Yeah.
or an episode of Twilight Zone.
Yeah. So
And
you,
those are what I watched all afternoon, Twilight Zone.
You are
you
my
know,
people.
right? You'd come home and you'd catch your Gilligan's Island and your Brady Bunch repeats.
Hmm.
And then, around 4:30, you had Channel 9 and Channel 11. They both had their variations. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, you had Chiller Theater and Creature Feature. So, like, my childhood was just riddled with all of these horror movies. At least a
Hmm.
joke like that. It still gets me to this day, that six-fingered hand.
So there was this claymation hand that would rise up, chiller, and then it would sort of look around and yeah.
There
Love
is
it.
in the multiverse. All right, you'll appreciate this, my fellow comic book nerd. In the multiverse, there's a variation of 6-year-old Sean that is still screaming from the first time he saw that hand come out of the ground. So you cut your teeth on all these movies, and then of course, you see Jaws, my favorite movie, by the way, and then
Favorite.
you go to the beach, and it's like
Can't even get in the bathtub, Sean. I mean, and I was old enough to know better, like probably 8 or 9. No way. There was no logic to it, but like anything with water, having to do with water would freak me out. Swimming in a pond, a dark pond, something touches your
forget
foot,
it.
you're like, "Psh, I'm out of here." No.
Forget it. I still suffer, and this is true. I still suffer in my 50s going in a pool, which I know it's so irrational. But you go in a pool, and the first thought is like, what if there's a shark in here? You know it
Yep.
can't happen. but
Can't.
it's just right there.
So I need to tell you. So I grew up in Manhattan on the Upper West Side, but my grandparents and my uncle lived in Miami Beach, and my uncle actually went to Davie a lot, which is more rural.
Okay.
And this is really important because it is completely absurd as a child to think that in some tiny, shallow pool of water, you're going to get chomped by a shark. However, an alligator, that is entirely realistic.
Yeah.
That is true. That is
They didn't
true.
have those. They didn't have those in Ontario and anywhere in Canada. So I was safe from that. Sharks,
No, you were battling with Wendigos and all sorts of winter beasts.
whales,
Yeah.
orca. That movie Orca scared the crap out of me. And it was so much bloodier than Jaws, and it didn't have what's his name, the comedic relief. Whose name I'm forgetting all of a sudden.
Dreyfuss. Yeah.
Dreyfuss. It didn't have Richard Dreyfuss in it, so it was just like serious the whole time, and there was a lot of blood. That movie scared me. Orca.
I went back and watched Orca a couple of months ago, and let me tell you something. First of all, Charlotte Rampling is so incredibly gorgeous and like almost luminescent in that movie that I kept looking at her like, what are you doing in Orca?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Richard Harris is so much fun in that movie because he actually chews more scenery than Orca, and it's just such a great campy classic. I love it.
Yeah.
Orcas themselves are really fashionable. I mean, you take a shark and you take an orca, and it's clear who is, French couture.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. I love it. All right, this brings me to my next question. When it comes to nature run amok, are you more land-based or aquatic? Meg, we'll start with you.
I think traditionally, because of Jaws, I'm more aquatic. I grew up in Newfoundland. It's surrounded by water. But in more recent years, I think I've been, because we have a place upstate New York these days, I am a little like unnerved by bears. So like not necessarily like the bears that have freaked me out in recent years are probably like the grizzly from The Revenant caught me off guard.
Okay.
And it stayed with me. That's not necessarily nature run amok, but between that bear and the Help Me Bear from Annihilation, it's the bears freak me out. So yeah, traditionally though, aquatic.
The Help Me Bear from Annihilation might be a completely separate episode, episode.
It's totally not related, definitely sci-fi, but the animals, the threatening animals.
Now I have to ask you, you've got this place upstate. Have you watched the movie Back Country by any chance?
No, haven't.
Don't
watch it.
Don't. This way you'll enjoy going upstate. It's like one of the most realistic bear attack movies. It's just so real in one part. I mean, it's actually a very well-made movie, low budget movie, but there's a bear attack that is so graphically well done, but it's like Jaws. Like you'll be scared to be on land now, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll skip for now. Skip.
All right, Alisa, I'm so curious. City woman, aquatic or land-based?
Well, are we talking fictionally or in real life? What scares me?
I want to hear both. How about both?
As a kid growing up in an old apartment on the Upper West Side, what really terrified me were cockroaches. That was so insects, which are land-based, have always had a special creep out place for me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. The frogs, when I discovered the frogs, which for me is a re-watch every July 4th, I think that, the amphibious creature, and especially because frogs are so inherently unthreatening. It's just, they really had to, it's like the birds with frogs. And it's so, you look at that and you don't really feel threatened by the frogs. Wait, can I just digress for one moment to say,
Of course.
the Bernie Wrightson, I can't remember who wrote the story. So in Plop, which was a comic book from 1975 or so, there was a classic. It won, I think, an Eisner short story illustrated by Bernie Wrightson about this terrible guy who's like this big, gourmand, and he only eats frogs' legs, and the frogs have their revenge. That was genuinely frightening.
That's scary. I love it. Now you're making me think of the final segment to Creep Show. That's a great insect nightmare.
Yes. And also in Men in Black.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good,
Let my dog back in. I'm sorry, she's gonna eat me.
No, are you kidding me? My dog's gonna bust in any moment. This is a very dog-friendly podcast. Bring all the pets in.
My dogs are wandering.
I love it. Honestly, if they
animals.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, please hold up your pets if they come by.
She's got a berserker side, so she's an Icelandic sheepdog, and if she doesn't like something, it's like,
look at that face. Are you kidding me? Look, it's nature run amok. There we go.
It's a segue for Cujo right there.
All makes sense. For me, it's just one and done. It's aquatic. In real life and in fiction, I spent summers by the beach every summer. And, after you could stay out of the water for a bit, but a whole summer, you got to get in there eventually. And it's to this day, it's still the same. I mean, because I surf. So the car ride to the beach, I'm thinking about sharks. As I'm putting my wetsuit on, I'm thinking about sharks. As I'm waxing up my board, I'm thinking about sharks. And the second I hit the water, it all goes away. Because it's just like, look, I didn't go through all this trouble not to have fun. So I go and I do my thing and it's fantastic. And the second I get out of the water, I start thinking about sharks again.
You start thinking about like that 3 feet of water. All it takes is 3 feet of water for the shark to attack.
Oh, I mean, it's just always there. Again, thank you, Steven Spielberg and Peter Benchley for bringing nightmares to life. But I will say this, though. I am very much into shark conservation. So even if I become a snack, I'm not big enough to become a full meal. But even if I become a snack, I'm heavily into, preserving all endangered species. So what I love now is thinking about the fact that if Jaws were made today, it would be a very different movie because the thought would be like, we'll just leave the fucking shark alone,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I kind of love that. And Benchley he really felt tremendous amount of guilt and started his own conservatory, for shark preservation and did a lot of great work before he passed away. So, look, it's a good book. It's a fantastic movie, but he did a lot of good stuff for shark conservation. So we give him one piece. Yeah.
And we've had years and years of Shark Week and people tune in for that because they love sharks,
Absolutely. As well, we all should. I mean, we don't want to end up on the menu, but we should all love sharks. We should love all animals.
Doesn't that just mean your period now?
I'm sorry. Wait, what was this?
My daughter informed me that that's what Shark Week means now.
Oh my gosh. See, I have boys. I don't get to know.
Look,
they don't talk to me like that.
You city kids always grow up faster than us country kids, all right?
That'll be the new version of Shark Week, our film for
now. I'm never ever going to think of anything but that when I hear Shark Week. All right, we have our list here. We have our list, and fair. We didn't watch all of these, but I'll mention them, and we'll just get into the ones that we saw. So I don't think any one of us watched Wild Beasts, right?
No.
It's almost impossible to find. I saw it ages ago. I'm sorry, Lisa, what was that?
Was that the one I tried? There was one that began with a corpse's toe, and I was eating dinner, and I just let it go, and I never watched it.
A corpse's toe?
There's sort of a corpse that's been buried, and there's a toe. I'm trying to remember which one that was.
That may have been Primeval.
It was in Africa.
Primeval, yeah.
That was Primeval.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So
no, it's okay.
And then I let it go.
Kino Lorber or I don't know, Vinegar Syndrome. Someone's going to come out with a version of Wild Beasts, a restoration. and everyone needs to watch it because it's bonkers. And there is a bizarre elephant attack, which you don't get a lot of in cinema. But Meg, I'm gonna kick it over to you because you promised me you would tell the story.
I don't even know if it's that good, and I don't even know. I should have researched the details. But yeah, I spent summers with my grandparents in Ontario, and there's this town in southern Ontario called St. Thomas, and it is the site of a horrible animal accident. A elephant named Jumbo was hit by a train, and the lore goes that he was actually tossing aside his little friend who was in jeopardy, whose name, let me think, it's Tiny Tim, Tom Thumb.
So he was
Tom Thumb, this
his friend.
a dwarf elephant. He was saving his friend from the train. That's the lore. I don't even know what happens. As it turns out, I think it's just the circus had come to town. They were trying to load it onto a truck. It was in the way, and it got struck by a train. But now there's this incredible monument outside of St. Thomas, Ontario. And every summer, my grandparents would take us to, we lived nowhere near St. Thomas, but we would have the pilgrimage to see Jumbo the elephant. And it was huge. I mean,
I would be obsessed with that as a kid.
Yeah.
When are we going to go see the elephant statue?
I mean, which train track? How fast is the train going?
I'm starting to get a little obsessed about it right now. I think I need to go check this out. All right. Good
Clearly,
stuff.
There'd be a desire for revenge on the part of the
Sure.
elephant.
Right?
Now my two incredible authors right here, that's a great story. A ghost elephant haunting a town seeking revenge. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to leave it alone. All right. I picked two gator trauma movies, Crawl, which I am madly in love with. I think it's one of the best. I mean, let's all cards on the table. It's a B movie. I mean, it's not like I'm elevating it above that, but that's like, that's my wheelhouse. That script is so good. It starts, 5 minutes of exposition, barely any exposition, and then it just rips until the end. So I have Crawl and I have Primeval. Primeval is a little bit more of you gave it a good shot, but it really didn't land. But what I will point out though, when Primeval was made, which was like mid-late 90s, I think, there was a lot of like CW horror, so at least this had adults in it, and the practical is really good. The CGI is okay, but the practical is really, really good in this movie. So I kind of respect it for that. And it's nasty. I mean, crocodile wins in the movie, which again, you don't get a lot of,
Yeah,
So,
I think, and was apparently a real croc. So
Gustav.
based on a true story. I mean, that alone, like if you thought the Jaws was real, and we can talk about the Ghost in the Darkness, but once you find out that those things were more or less real, it's actually kind of terrifying.
It's even scarier than the movies.
Yeah.
So, in the movie, Gustav kills damn near everybody on screen, but we're talking about maybe a dozen people. But in real life, this crocodile it's rumored to have killed 200 to 300 people, but they think that the real number. Now, here I am, like, the real number is only 70. That's still 70.
I know. It's a lot of people.
God, the next time a city bus or a school bus passes by, you're like, there goes 70 people. And that's what Gustav is snacked on. So, again, leave all beasties alone, but also maybe stay out of the river. But if it's kind of your source of life and you've got to do it, it's just, what are you going to do?
Oh,
Yeah. So, Ghost in the Darkness, about a dozen years ago, I was obsessed with the lines of Savo because I didn't know it was a true story. And that's just like, again, oh my God, these lions killed so many people. And the theory is that, just like every other species on Earth, you can start to suffer some debilitating mental, illness. And they think that's what happened because they were just hunting for sport and not really for food. And
or a tooth ache that maybe made them seek out easier prey.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I swear to God, like the what's like the scariest moments of that movie are actually like not so much the lions, of course. It's when you see like the whites of the guy's eyes and he's being dragged through the bloodying grass.
Yeah.
So visceral, that like dragging, that painful, like whack, whack, whack. There's the thought of it. I love that movie. And I have seen The Real Lions in Chicago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh,
They don't have manes.
they they I listened to a podcast. Oh, actually, Eric Hansen from Cradle to the Grave. He did
Yeah.
a great episode on Ghost in the Darkness not that long ago. So I'm gonna steal this from Eric, and I'm so sorry that I even gave him credit because I love to tease him. But he was saying that the one of the mains, because the actual engineer who killed the lions kept the mains for ages, and
Oh
they
wow.
gave him $5,000 for them. But one of the mains, the belly had been like, yeah, he had them as rugs in his house, so it was all
Yeah.
worn. So I think like one of the lions is kind of like crawling on its belly to hide that, which is
Smart.
clever.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Robert Atone and I would be fighting, though, if Robert were on the podcast. And Robert, by the time this airs, you'll be completely healthy again. But we'll give you the big end of the dating game smooch and wish you a speedy recovery. My poor Robert, not feeling great. But this is one of his favorite movies, so he says. But boy, would we have at it, because Val Kilmer is not good in this movie.
He's not good in it. He's not good in it. And I love Val Kilmer. I mean, again, child of the 80s, real genius. I've been a fan a long time. Iceman, all of those things, but it's not great. It's not his finest moment.
And I have to think, like, all right, you've got an Irish engineer, and you don't even have to get an Irish actor, but
The accent.
England was littered with BAFTA winning actors who were just dying to get into American movies. I'm like, we couldn't lean into one of those guys. But with that said, it's a great action movie, and I can almost hear Robert in my ear right now just screaming, "Dad, blasphemy!"
The accent is even worse than Kevin Costner in Prince of Thieves.
Which
That's
is
how
saying
bad it
something,
is.
'cause that
It's bad.
accent's
I mean,
almost
it's
not
bad,
existent.
bad, bad. It's bad.
It's so bad. Michael Douglas shows up, and I think it's fantastic because Michael Douglas was actually the reason the movie got made. He was the producer or the
It's
EP.
because of his hair. His hair got that movie made.
I mean, it was incredible. If you were to, if they were to say that that was his character's grandfather from Romancing the Stone, I'd be like, yeah,
Yes.
makes perfect sense.
Totally.
Perfect sense. Okay, let me throw it to Alisa. Of the movies on the list, which one was your favorite? You can't say Frogs. It's got to be another one. I'm going to give you your Frogs time, but it's got to be another one.
I'm really torn because The Day of the Animals is so spectacularly bad that it brought me back to a time and a place. I felt my youth returning to me. And when Leslie Nielsen whips off his shirt, maddened by the hole in the ozone layer, and it's just like, I'm gonna strip this bare. I feel so that was sort of the quintessential badness. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's Cujo, which is a movie I remember seeing in the movie theater. I remember being frightened, but is an interestingly complex kind of, there's, as often is the case with Stephen King, there's more going on.
Yeah. Day of the Animals is such hot garbage that I can't love it enough. It also made me terrified because, again, a made-for-TV movie of the 70s. So, like, you're watching Three's Company, and then you're rolling into Day of the Animals completely unaware.
With Christopher George, right? Rat Patrol. I can't
Rat
remember.
Patrol Grizzly.
Can anyone sing the Rat Patrol tune? It was like ding, ding. It's not quite Hogan's Heroes, but it's Hogan's
close.
Heroes adjacent. And his actual wife, who I didn't remember her until she appeared on, and I suddenly thought, oh God, it's kind of like Airplane had a baby with a weird Love Boat episode and the frogs.
It's so true. It's so true, but that's what's so great about all those made-for-TV movies is they just plucked all of these TV actors, maybe threw in a Hollywood star that maybe they're just a little bit past their prime, and their scripts were horrifically bad. They leaned so heavy into whatever like the theme of the year was, so we have the ozone layer, or like, with gargoyles, that's kind of like what, the plight of the Native American, and then, oh, uh, uh, Satan's School for Girls, just variations of, hey, we're going to capitalize on the Omen and The Exorcist. I can't love those movies enough. We're doing a month on that. Elisa, I know you're coming back for that because we're going to do Devil Dogs.
Well, okay, so the other thing I have to say about Day of the Animals is I was watching it with my boyfriend who's an artist, and he said, it's all square. And I said, what? And he was pointing out that, you could tell it was made for not just TV, but old square TVs. Like everything's shot in a square. And someone would go off and, it was just it was kind of like watching a comic book with old-fashioned panels.
I'll go one step further. It's made for TVs that when you turn them off, you can hear the tube cooling down in the back.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, like, hopefully there's going to be a younger generation watching and listening to this, and they're going to be like, "What are they even talking about?"
What tube?
Kids, TVs used to weigh 900 pounds. I'm sorry, Meg. Go ahead.
Nope. Go ahead.
Day of the Animals. Oh, hold on one sec. Sorry about that. Day of the Animals was the movie that made me scared to get into a car, because there was that scene where a guy backs into a car because he's being chased by the hungry dogs, and the car's full of rattlesnakes. And it still gets me to this day. I have such anxiety. I'm not a snake person, even though I just said I love all animals. Snakes will work it out in group because that's a tough one for me. All right, Meg, your favorite movie from the list.
Ooh, I think it was Cujo.
All right.
For me, honestly, I like, just to circle back to it, I think it was, so I rewatched it for this, and I had seen it before as a kid. And as a kid, I remember feeling like, oh, I'm scared of that dog. There's a lot of wild dogs where I grew up, like houseless dogs who would wander around and chase me home from school. And so I remember feeling like I was supposed to be scared of the dog, but in the end, I wasn't. I was scared of the hot car, the kid in the hot car, and the ticking clock. I think as a kid, that went completely over my head. I'm terrified of the dog, and I'm terrified of this being stuck in this car. And I hadn't actually put it together that it was Dee Wallace before, so it was really awesome to rewatch it.
And it was a Pinto. It was a Pinto.
Yes,
and you knew at the time Pintos were liable to explode at any moment.
They were doomed either way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you on Cujo. Actually, shout out to Joe Velasquez. I actually did an episode with him on the Film Joe podcast. He's a huge fan of Cujo. Cujo, the book, for me, I adore. Cujo, the movie, I like. I really like the director, Louis Teague. He did Alligator, and he's really good. Oh, here comes my guy now. Nature run amok. Here's my buddy. Come here. Wait, let me. All right. You don't want to come over? All right.
Got stuff to do.
But yeah, he's just like, you're not feeding me? Cujo's always going to break my heart because all he wanted to be was a good boy. And I never get past that. It just destroys me.
The big goofy boy is a big goofy boy until all of a sudden there's like big snotsicles, and he's like.
So I have to say two things about this. So one is I was chased by a Saint Bernard. So I have I have two dogs, and the other dog is this big sweet, black dog with yellow eyebrows. And he was still intact. He was a kind of a big puppy. And
Hmm.
we were on the Upper West Side. And all of a sudden I see a Saint Bernard that I knew as a really friendly dog. And he starts to run. And it's not like a friendly, like, if you know dogs, you can tell, no matter how sweet a dog is, this
Yeah.
dog like barreling down this wet hill at West End and 98th. And I'm yelling, hold your dog back. And the owner says, I can't. And we ducked into a building, and I stood behind with my dog behind the desk of the doorman. So I, as an adult, have actually had a kind of
You
close
had a Cujo.
guard.
Wow.
Scary.
Oof. Oof.
Scary. All right, I'm gonna give my favorite, and which is weird because I made the list, so they should all be my favorite. Deep
Frog.
Deep Blue Sea is close.
Love it.
It's close. I mean, I really love that movie. I love the
Mhm.
garbagey essence of that movie. It's got, all right, ready? Junk science, chef's kiss,
Yes.
sharks, please. Um, good A minus B plus actors. Love
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Thomas Jane. I mean, Thomas Jane shows up in a movie in the 90s. Remote goes down. Even if it's Dreamcatcher, the remote goes down.
Yeah.
Like,
Robert's best no.
I mean, I cannot wait for him to watch this and immediately call me and be like, seriously, man? It's so
It's got a little Cool J in it. I mean, come on. He's excellent. Comedic relief. It's so good.
it's so good. So it should be my number one, but I've got to go with Arachnophobia.
So good.
It's
John Goodman.
John Goodman's fantastic. Um, I love Jeff Daniels in that movie because he really is he's the reluctant hero. He wants to do anything but be the hero, which I think it makes for a really fun. It's such an Amblin movie, you know. I mean, it's got those Steven Spielberg, fingerprints all over it, and it's just a fun time. And I have a begrudging respect for spiders. Snakes are looking at me now like, what?
Come on.
But I grew up, I did tell you a funny story before we get kicked off Zoom. So I grew up with this weird, kind of like folklore that I was told was Irish folklore, which don't kill a spider, it's bad luck.
Yeah, don't
Yep.
kill a spider in the house.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's,
Yep.
oh, good. You guys have heard it too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So I thought they were just lying to me my whole childhood. But to this day, spiders go outside and I tell them, have a good time. I would prefer it if you go to the neighbors, but, enjoy the outside world now. This movie definitely doesn't help my spider phobia, but I kind of love it for that because it just ratchets it up, especially with that real life bird spider that is like the size of a catcher's mitt. I can't even with that thing, but I love it so much.
So good.
It's so
Wait,
good.
is there a moment for me to tell my spider story from last summer?
Of course, we've got time left on the clock. Go for it.
Okay, very quickly. So there was this really big wolf spider that was living in my garden, and my daughter
Those
is
are
a
big.
naturalist, and she says, oh yeah, oh no, look, it's dead. And it was lying, all dead on the stairs. And I said, oh, and I was about to scoop it up, and she said, wait, it's not dead. And she pointed out the parasitic wasp that was just nearby it. And so clearly that parasitic wasp had just injected it, stunned it. And, any moment the spider was going to wake up and go about its spider day for a day or two. And then, of course, die and hatch a bunch of parasitic wasps. And I suddenly thought that is the true horror that, you wake up and you think, phew, that was a close one. Not realized.
Wolf spiders freak me out because they're so big and they're so hairy.
Too big for me.
Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah, I can't. Has there before we run out of time? Question for both of you: has there been a good snake movie? It's
Mm,
definitely not the movie that's just with Dirk
Nothing,
Benedict.
Right.
nothing
Snakes on
that
a plane sucked.
no,
Yeah.
no,
Doesn't count.
nothing I know that's as good as Blood Lake: Attack of the Killer Lampreys.
All right, come on, Alisa,
Let's do it now. It's your time.
It's all like, you know, what else is there to talk about? Easiest practical special effects ever.
I'm not even sure I know what a lamprey looks like. I mean, I know I'm getting it with the eye suction, like it's just like a ring of teeth, right? But I'm like, oh, where did you even find that? All right, well, great, thanks. Now I'm scared of lampreys. The list grows. Thank you both so much for coming on here. I could talk about nature run amok forever, but nobody wants to hear me do it. But I really do appreciate you too. Promise you'll come back. Alisa, I know I'm getting you for Devil Dog, for made for TV horror of the 70s, and for disaster movies. Meg, you take another look at that list.
Anytime.
All right, I've got an updated list. I'm going to send it to you, okay?
Sounds excellent.
Cool.
Yeah.
Everybody have a fantastic night. Thanks so much for your time. Hanging out with you two has
Absolutely.
been the best part of my day, I can tell you that.
This was a lot of fun.